whether you think you can or you can't. Either way, you're right. Now this is a fascinating quote that I wanted to dissect throughout the rest of this video. One of the famous people that it was attributed to was Henry Ford, but he wasn't the original creator of the quote, so to speak. He was just someone that seemed to have phrased it in a way, but after some investigation I found out that more people actually have attributed, or at least shared this quote and had it attributed to them, I should say. So the original origin of it seems a little mysterious, but this part of the article I could find online concerning this quote is pretty interesting. They stated the following. In 1925, a newspaper in Marcellus, New York, reported a story about the industrialist Henry Ford's attitude toward failure. The words ascribed to Ford in 1925 did not match the adage, but thematically they were consonant. One time when Henry Ford was asked if he didn't stand to lose a great deal of money if certain things went wrong, he said one should not think about things going wrong. You must never, even for a second, let yourself think that you can fail, said Mr. Ford. Our first principle is that failure is impossible. You may not get what you're trying to do right the first time, or the second time, or the 10th, or the 100th time. But if you shut out of your mind the possibility of failing, then you are bound to win. Now, failure is impossible. And then if you go and take this quote, whether you think you can or you can't, either way you're right, it actually also creates a fascinating look upon the concept of failing. Because ultimately the only time we will ever fail is when we make a conscious decision to give up on something, to quit. That is the only time failure can only happen to us. Because the other times when we seem to fail, when we seem to make mistakes, when we seem to make errors, well, they are just part of learning on how to ultimately succeed in the long run. This is very important always to grasp, because every time people make a mistake, they might beat up on themselves, but we don't want to do that any longer. So let's go over this quote together and see how we can use it to make magic happen in our worlds, because the power of thought will set us free from bondage and potential failure. That old boogeyman in the mind that makes us feel and even think that we're not capable of doing a lot. How are we gonna beat that power that is active inside of us? For the most part of human existence, we go through life accepting limiting ideas and thoughts that serve us no purpose at all in the long run. What we want to understand is what it means to think and what it means to think with intent. Whether you think you can or you can't, either way you're right. It holds a huge power, but it's very tricky to grasp what that power is about if we're used to let our thinking run unconsciously and all over the place. That is the sad reality for most of us. Even for me, I still have to consciously pay attention to what my mind is doing and how I'm using it. But if I stop paying attention, well, out of habit, I might have the, fact of the matter going for me that most of it is positive, but there will be negative stuff as well. Now, somebody that has never studied the mind, who is not positively inclined naturally, well, what is gonna go on in their minds? Well, negative stuff, limiting ideas, and even though they don't realize they're limiting ideas because they believe in what they're thinking about, they don't even know how to set themselves free. Whether you think you can do something or you can't, either way you're right. You see, this is actually a revelation of the state of awareness of the individual. They are aware that they actually have a choice on what to focus upon inside of their consciousness. This is absolutely huge. When that dawns upon you, you are able to start to make decisions for yourself about what is going to take place in your world. You can start to think in terms of I can, I will, and I shall, instead of I can't, I won't, and I am stuck, and all the other negative sides of polarity that confront us. So as Henry Ford said in the intro as well, their principle being that failure is impossible plays a huge role in this for you and I, because every time we work on a dream, we're going to make mistakes here and there, we're going to screw it up, and then as we do so, we have a tendency to think we're a failure already. Now, in a way, it's right, we did make a mistake, so perhaps we failed to a certain extent, but failing is part of winning, but failure is like a decision of giving up entirely on a dream. That's the only moment you can ever truly fail. So whatever your dream is, as long as you're still working on it, even though it seems hard and tricky and frustrating and crazy at times, at least you're not failing yet. But we do want to be smart. Perhaps we're going about it in the wrong way. And what you're going to find out is that the quality of your thoughts play a big role in you succeeding to begin with. So as long as we think in negative terms of I can't or it's going to be hard for me, the more we'll experience that as a reality. But the more we learn to be at peace inside of our minds and let thoughts flow freely from the stream of positivity, of success, and of I can, of confidence, of all the empowering ideas that can come up and flow through your mind, well, then we'll actually be taken there. Then it will become our destiny. And this is what it's all about, to discover this in life for yourself, that you don't have to be stuck, that you can set yourself free to the power of your own mind. Now, another important aspect we should never forget about is that just thinking that you can do something is not enough. Even Wallace Wattles, over 100 years ago, in an essay, How to Get What You Want, stated that. He said that he can who thinks he can is not complete, it's not the entire picture. The person whose subconscious mind believes and is convinced that he can, he is the one that will do it, that can do it. So when you start thinking in terms of I can do something, you better make sure that your subconscious mind believes it as well, because otherwise it's just chattering in the mind that doesn't bring you anywhere. It's that inner subconscious knowing and conviction that ultimately empowers that kind of attitude. And if you just analyze your own life or the lives of others, you're going to find that they are more convinced in their subconscious mind of things not working out for them, and they have all the proof they'll ever need that this is the case for them. But if they want to change that around, if I want to change it around, or if you want to change it around, we're going to have to change our subconscious belief around so that these words actually become a living power within our lives. Now, what does it mean to change your subconscious beliefs around? It means living from a totally different habitual state of mind about what you're capable of doing. It means living from a totally different way habitually on how you feel about yourself. Because when you think in terms of failure, you don't feel good about yourself. But when you think in terms of success and believe in that and actually notice the evidence of it coming into your world, you feel greater and greater about yourself. Ultimately, success keeps being attracted to the successful person as long as they feel that they are a success. And it's easier perhaps for them because their senses are constantly telling and confirming for them, yes, I am successful. Look at all the business I'm doing, look at all the money that I'm making, look at all of the success and fame and this and that, whatever is part of their life. You know, they constantly have proof of that. So us starting out with perhaps nothing, we're going to first have to convince our subconscious mind that we at least have the power to succeed. And we develop this conviction by analyzing and thinking clearly about the fact that everybody had to start somewhere. So everyone had to start with this inner foundation. This basic conviction had to be there, or else they would have never taken the actions to begin with that ultimately made them a success in this world. So once you have that basic foundation in place, it starts to make more sense to you that it's a matter of how you're thinking inside of your consciousness from that moment on. You can start thinking negatively, but still believe you'll succeed subconsciously. What's going to happen then is that your subconscious mind is going to force you to succeed, and then as you succeed, you're perhaps potentially turn into a very rude and cold, arrogant person. Have we not known such people? Let's be honest here, they are out there. People are very rich, but because they think negatively, consciously, and they're kind of full of themselves and arrogant, they're not nice people to be around. But there are also people who are very successful, but they're also very nice and kind and compassionate people. You see clearly there, they must not be living from a negative conscious state of mind while they're succeeding, but the other is living from a negative conscious state of mind while succeeding because their subconscious mind is still convinced and full of faith and believe that they can succeed regardless of their own attitude. So ultimately, this is also not a lecture on morals on what is right or wrong and how you should behave. It's just a reminder to you that yes, it's possible for you to succeed with all of your dreams, even if you consciously think in negative terms, even if you're not very nice. It doesn't really matter, as long as your subconscious mind believes it. This quotation that we're working with will turn into a real living power that will help you get what you want. So the polarity of thought and feeling is very important to understand, because ultimately they influence each other. Now, with that we mean, I can think in positive terms, in terms of success, and if I truly focus on that from a state of calmness, so that it can be impressed upon my subconscious mind, then I will start to feel that I can succeed, that I will succeed, that I already am successful. That is the subconscious mind responding to your consciousness when you start thinking in those terms automatically. But you can also allow this feeling then to influence the way you think throughout the rest of your days. So you start to think more and more constructively and more powerfully about how to succeed. But now take the other side of this equation where most people live, is that they think in the I can't attitude, in the I cannot do this. I cannot do this for this reason and that reason. And they feel that is true. It's because of the way they were raised. They weren't raised with these teachings. So they accept them as true, these limiting thoughts. And therefore they stay stuck. They don't grow anywhere. They have the dreams, but they can't act on them. But they can change it around. They can change the way they think and feel around, but it's all tied to the willingness to make that change, to embrace that change of mind for yourself. You're going to have to take the time to work with your mind, to tame your mind, to take control over your own mind. Because as long as you don't have that control, you're still going to go all over the place. So for one moment you'll be thinking and feeling successful, and the other moment you don't. And on it goes. And that's how it goes for many, many people, even myself again. I always have to pay attention to this. So even though I might be considered a teacher for you, I'm also a student at the same time. I'll never say that I have all the answers or the greatest way in life to succeed, because even I know the struggle of being human at times. It all ties back to us controlling our consciousness and taking that responsibility of directing it at will, regardless of what's going on outside of us. When we learn to do this, we'll become powerful individuals that will be able to manifest whatsoever we desire. Yes, it might take some time for it to physically appear in your world, but as long as you understand the process, you'll never give up and you can keep going, because you know that the thoughts that you think, the imaginative visions that you have will sooner or later turn into realities. That is the sort of conviction and belief you need to develop and have in place in order to see this power work wonders in your life, in order for this quote to actually make sense from the angle that it should be approached from. Because just thinking that you can't is not enough. I can think that I'm a billionaire, it's not enough. I don't even have a dream or desire to be one. But you see, if I think that I'm that, it's not enough. It's not gonna make me one. But if I were to truly convince my subconscious mind that I am one, I will be led towards all sorts of activities that will help me increase the odds of becoming one. This is the main basic ingredient that you really want to contemplate for yourself and the results that you're getting so far in your own life. You know, you'll actually reach a point where you're like, baby, I think I can do it. And she'll be like, what do you mean you think you can do it? You've never done anything. And you say, but I can feel I can do it, baby. I can feel the power rise up within me. And as I keep feeling it, even you can't deny that I'm taking more and more powerful actions. Just look at this. Let's see what I've just manifested. Look at it. And she'll be like, I think you're onto something, and that's God in you saying that. It's guiding you along this journey. When you start to think that you can, when you start to feel and know that you can. So let us condense this whole video into its most simplistic form I can think of right now. The quotation, whether you think you can or you can't, either way you're right, will work wonders in your life once you understand more and more of the creative process of how thoughts turn into results in your life. The more you think and feel in terms of success, the more you're compelled to do things that will add to that concept, that are in harmony with that concept that exists inside of your consciousness. You can measure this easily because the more you think in terms of failure and feel that you cannot succeed, the less you're inclined to do a thing in your life. You'd rather just sit still, you'd rather procrastinate, you'd rather don't do anything because you already feel like you can't win. But the more you feel and think that you can, the more you'll become compelled to take powerful action. This you'll understand from personal experience. Analyze it carefully in your world, always. The greater you feel, the more effective you are at taking action. Now, the greater you feel and the more you feel that you already have achieved your dream, that you're already powerful enough to make this happen in your life, the more evidence shows up for you that you are that person. You'll see stuff manifest, you'll see signs, you'll see all sorts of wonderful things show up in your life that are in harmony with the dream that first originated inside of your mind. And the dream originated there because you dare to have the attitude that because I think I can, I will. And that is the power behind the quotation. It's something you'll have to think and contemplate for yourself, but the more you do so, the more you'll tame that mind of yours, so it no longer thinks in negative terms. We gotta get away from it. It serves us no purpose. Now, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.